All right, let's just jump right in. We're not just talking about a few life hacks today. What we're about to unpack here is a complete manifesto, a brand new cognitive operating system. It's designed to help you see the hidden rules of the world so you can finally start playing a different and much, much better game.
And this, right here, is the core of the problem. It's a huge statement, I know, but just think about it. The paths most of us are on, in our careers, our health, our day-to-day habits, they're not really the ones we consciously chose, are they? They're the default paths, the most obvious routes laid out by systems we don't even see.
So, how does this even happen? Well, the central idea is that the game of life is, in a very real way, rigged. And no, not by some secret society in a smoke-filled room, but by the very nature of the systems we live in. There are these hidden rules, these invisible traps that guide almost all of us into playing a less effective game. And this trap, it actually has a name, the filter function. The best way to think about it is like the path of least resistance. It's the strategy that feels right, it feels intuitive, it feels easy, but in reality, it's filtering you away from the best path. It's the comfortable choice that keeps you stuck.
This is the perfect way to picture it. Think about the classic game Space Invaders. When you first play, what's your gut instinct? You park yourself right in the middle and you shoot the closest alien, right? It just feels like the right thing to do. But that's the filter function in action. The hidden pro-level strategy is totally counterintuitive. You clear out one entire side first. Why? Because it forces the whole swarm to travel a longer distance, slowing them down and giving you way more time. You have to see the system to beat the trap.
And look, this is way bigger than some old arcade game. The filter function is absolutely everywhere. In your career, it's the trap of just collecting another degree instead of building a real skill. In your health, it's chasing some fad diet instead of building sustainable habits. We are all playing Space Invaders in our own lives, and most of us are stuck in the middle, just shooting at whatever's closest. So if we're all caught in this trap, how the heck do we get out? Well, the first step, our training ground for breaking free, is a single, simple practice: writing. It's the perfect little laboratory for proving to yourself that the limits you think you have, they're not real.
On the left, you see the trap, the filter function for writers. I call it conditional writing. It's a cage built out of excuses. I need to feel inspired, or I need to find the perfect idea first. Sound familiar? That's the trap that leads to a blank page. But on the right, that's the escape, unconditional writing. This is a radical flip in your mindset. You don't wait for ideas, you generate them by writing. You don't wait for inspiration, you prove to yourself that action is always possible. And if you ever, for a single second, doubt that action is always possible, I want you to think about this. Jean-Dominique Bauby was paralyzed by a massive stroke. The only thing he could move was his left eyelid. And with that single muscle, he wrote an entire memoir. The journalist Terry Anderson wrote poetry in his head for years while being held hostage. The evidence is overwhelming. The most powerful barriers we face are the ones we build inside our own heads.
See, once you prove you can act unconditionally in one small area, you have this aha moment. You realize, wait a minute, this isn't just about writing. It's a master key. The very same principle that crushes writer's block can be used to learn absolutely anything, because the real barrier isn't the subject, it's your own mind.
Now, to really get this, let's use a metaphor. The monkey model. I want you to imagine that your automatic mental states, that sudden wave of sleepiness when you're bored, or that flash of frustration. Imagine that's not really you. Instead, it's an old program being run by a monkey in your brain. And all this monkey does is flip a switch whenever certain conditions are met. This is how you start to separate who you really are from your conditioned reactions. And here is the 3-step manifesto for dealing with that monkey. Step 1, realize that the mental state only shows up under specific conditions. Step 2, remember that automatic reaction, the monkey, it's not you. You can watch it happen without becoming it. And step 3, this is where the magic happens. If a monkey can press a button to turn a state on, that means you can find and press the opposite button to turn it off.
This became incredibly real for me. For years, a drowsiness monkey would just take over whenever I was understimulated, like sitting in a warm car. It felt completely beyond my control. But one day, I just decided to experiment. I visualized sending energy to my forehead and poof, the drowsiness just vanished. I had found the override switch. Now the monkey still tries to press its button, but I know how to press mine. How many switches like that are just waiting to be found inside your own mind?
So let's zoom out. We've gone from unconditional writing to unconditional learning to literally hacking our own minds. When you put all of this together, what you get is a complete philosophy.
It's a brand new operating system for living built on 4 core continuous practices.
Practice number 1 is to find hidden affordances. Now, affordance sounds fancy, but it's just an overlooked opportunity for action. This is about training your brain to see the world not just as a bunch of stuff, but as a field of possibilities. A heavy backpack isn't just a backpack, it's a weight for a quick workout. A music video isn't just entertainment, it's a lesson in filmmaking and culture. It's all about asking, what can I do with what's right in front of me?
Second, you stabilize invariance. Discovering a cool trick once is fragile. This practice is all about taking a useful affordance you found, like that mental switch for drowsiness, and turning it into a reliable second-nature habit. It's the conscious process of building a new skill until it becomes an automatic, rock-solid part of who you are. The third practice is to couple with constraints. Look, you can't just break every rule. Some structures are there for a reason. This is the art of skillfully dancing with the system. A great poet doesn't see the strict rules of a sonnet as a cage. They see it as a challenge that forces them to be even more creative. It's about working with the necessary structures of your life to get what you want. And finally, the fourth practice, escape attractors. An attractor is like a gravitational field. It's a stable but unhelpful pattern that just keeps pulling you back in. Think about procrastination loops or those cycles of self-doubt. It's like a whirlpool. Escaping it requires a conscious, powerful break to establish a new, even more powerful pattern that pulls you toward the life you actually want. But listen, this can't just be a collection of interesting ideas. This has to be a call to action. Because understanding that the system is broken isn't enough. You have to feel the urgency to actually change your game. The most powerful tool for creating that urgency is what I call the dead mother moment. I was half asleep when my dad called. The words he said, they just sliced right through everything. My mind was still foggy, but my body just started moving. In that one irreversible instant, all my trivial plans, all my I'll do it laters, became completely and utterly meaningless. And that leads to this really sobering thought. Someday, it won't be my mother. I'm going to have my own dead me moment. And in those final seconds, I might have just enough time to think, sorry me. Sorry for all the times I didn't get out of bed, didn't do the work, didn't act because the conditions weren't perfect. Contemplating our mortality isn't morbid. It is the ultimate tool for cutting through all the noise. So we've unpacked the trap of the filter function, and we've laid out a path to escape, from unconditional writing all the way to hacking your own mind. But everything we've talked about comes down to this. The conditions will never be perfect. The timing will never be exactly right. The inspiration may never arrive. So what will you do now?